Hello and welcome back to Saber Reels. This is the Star Wars show here on the Who Are They Real Entertainment Network. My name is Toby Barkwell. Down below me is Matthew Thomas, and we have a guest today. One of my good buddies from college, Jacob Pickett. Jacob, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you on because whenever we were thinking about doing this show, bringing on guests, you were one of the first people that I thought of. And I know you couldn't be on for the big discussion about the first episode of Bad Batch, but I'm really excited to have you on to talk about episode 2, which is Cut and Run. And we will talk about that a little bit later, but start the show as always. I want to go through our week. How was our week in Star Wars, guys? I know we had May the 4th on Tuesday, so we had a big discussion about that on the channel on Tuesday about the first episode of Bad Batch. You can check that out on the channel after you get done watching this. But Jacob, we'll start with you. Did you do anything fun for May the 4th? I know obviously you probably watched Bad Batch, but did you buy any new collectibles that went on sale that day? Did you do anything else?
My main thing was watching Bad Batch when that dropped because that was the only thing that I was looking forward to outside of the semester being over school wise. But yeah, after that, I set it up like I set it up the same way for when the first Mandalorian episode dropped, where I turned all the lights off in my room and treated it like a movie premiere. And then I found out as I opened Disney Plus that it was over an hour long, and that just made my day even better. So
nice. You didn't know that it was 70 minutes?
No, I missed that, and
That's
never
crazy.
been happier to not know something until the very last seconds.
See, what would have been terrible, though, is if you would have allotted a certain amount of time for like a 30-minute episode and then had to go do something else, then you would have had to cut it short.
That's true. That would have sucked. Luckily, that didn't happen. But yeah, after that, I watched that, and then I remember I wanted to rewatch the 2003 Genny Tarkovsky Clone Wars stuff now that they were on Disney Plus because I had the DVDs just not with me. So I went and watched those after that as well, and I wanted to watch more. Actually, then I went and hung out with a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh, let's watch Empire," and he's like, "I already did." So then we just randomly. So he's like, so then we randomly chose, and we just watched the Clone Wars movie. Is what randomly was selected.
Oh, wow!
So we watched that
what
as
a
well.
choice!
Yeah, right.
You had a lot busier May the 4th than me and Matt did because we kind of had our discussion already about it. But I actually did buy a collectible.
Yeah, this is what I've been waiting to see all week.
So Matt, you kind of got me back motivated into buying Black Series after seeing your collection. And this is something that I didn't even know was a thing until recently. And when I found out about it, I was like, okay, I have to have that like right now. But you could not find it cheaper than like $450. Right?
Was it the Kylo Ren helmet?
No, it's not the Kylo Ren
helmet.
I'm not going to do the full unboxing because it's kind of a piece to take apart, which I didn't really realize. But
it's the Darth Vader helmet.
But
oh shit!
Yeah. So if you don't know what this is, in 2015, Black Series put out this pack. It was an Entertainment Earth exclusive, and it's a 4-pack of clone troopers from Order 66. Clones. So you have the Shock Trooper, you have the 501st Trooper, you have the 442nd Trooper, and the 212th. So all the clone troopers that were shown during the Battle of Order 66, or during the events of Order 66. And I'm kind of a clone guy. That's kind of my thing. So this was something I had to have. And when I saw this on Mercari for a decent price, I had to pick it up. And I'm very excited to have it. Like, very excited. Because it's like when you want to collect everything, like, especially the clones, like, this is something I have to get eventually, right? Yeah. And I was just bored. It was actually the day after May 4th, so it was Wednesday. And
you're talking about literally on Tuesday, like, I wish I could get this. Oh.
There went my phone. I'm still doing the low budget broadcast right now, guys, so bear with me till I can get a new computer. Really excited to add that to the collection. It wasn't cheap, but I think it was definitely well worth it because this is something I'm going to keep forever. And it being connected to Revenge of the Sith, which was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters, it'll have another special place. But that was my collectible purchase. Matt, did you get anything in the last few days?
The
Asajj anything?
The Asajj Ventress that I had originally pre-ordered for myself, and then Jen wanted it, and I didn't get a chance to pre-order 2. Showed up. on Wednesday. So I just gave that to her, and I had a buddy who's like, "Oh, I got 3 of those. I'll just give you one."
Oh, rad.
Wow.
So
That
I'm
worked
like,
out.
What a nice guy.
Hell yeah. Hell yes.
But before we get into Bad Batch episode 2, there's something we did not talk about on Tuesday, which was Disney Parks put out just out of nowhere a release. They released a video of a working lightsaber. Like, not one of those at Savvy's, not one, the Black Series, not one you get at Target. No, this one, like, is real. I don't know how. I don't know how it works. I have no idea. I know that they have like a blueprint on the internet you can find about the inner workings of it, or at least the inner workings of it maybe at the very beginning of the stages of development. But either way, I don't know, Matt, if you're going to pull it up.
Oh, I can if you want.
It's one of those things you have to see to believe, because there's no editing, there's no tricks in this video as far as I know. It's just literally an actress playing Rey lighting a lightsaber.
Yeah, one of their cast members.
And it being a real one. That was something to wake up to on May 4th. But Jacob, have you seen this video yet? You know what I'm referring to?
I think I may have at this point. I don't really remember, but I do remember when I first heard of it, because it was after
one, because it has more to it.
I'd gotten home from campus, and the first thing my brother said to me was like, "Hey, yo, did you see they're going to be selling real lightsabers?" I was like, "What do you mean selling real lightsabers?" Like, I thought he meant like actual, like, a weapon. And I'm like, there's no way that's legal. There's no way that that can actually happen. And then he's like,
right.
"Well, it's not like real, but it looks cool."
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not going to be for sale.
Yeah, I didn't think they'd be for sale. At least not yet.
Not yet. This is going to be exclusively a part of the Galactic Hotel thing they got going on. So,
yeah,
which they did drop more details on. They did drop more details on that also. But let me play this real quick. Oh shit! My shit's.
I mean, look at that. Like, how?
Yeah,
I want to know how.
Yeah, I do too, man. That's.
I mean, I know it's Disney, and they have literally all the money in the world to develop these things.
Right.
But,
yeah, like, Galactic Star Cruiser.
I mean, since 1977, people have been dreaming about a real working lightsaber, and we may finally have it. Like, we may actually finally be able to hit a button and a lightsaber ignite. Obviously, you're not going to be able to cut through people or cut through anything, but still, the fact that this could be a thing relatively soon is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Matt, you just mentioned the Galactic Star Cruiser. They did put out a release about a bunch of more information about it. The gist of it is it's really freaking cool. Like, it's going to be legit. You're basically going on a 2-day cruise in space. Like, it's going to be the windows are going to be LED screens making it look like you're floating in space. You're going to be going through all these different events. It's going to be like a choose your own adventure. So you get to decide what path your character chooses during the 2 days, which changes your storyline. It's very immersive. I thought Batu was immersive, but this is like a whole nother level. So and we'll probably never be able to do it because it'll be like $6,000.
It's $3,500 for 2 days.
Is that right?
Yikes! Oh,
hey, Toby, me, you, and Chris and somebody else just pool our money together to cover that experience, and we're golden because it's built for families. So
is this $3,500 a person or $3,500 like a group?
for the group?
Okay. See, that might be doable if you had 3 or 4 people. But
here I got the article pulled up over here, so I'm gonna share that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good tidbits in it. But like I said, just gonna be fully immersive. Yeah, so you're gonna be able to choose your own story, create your own character.
So you start off in this pod, and then the pod is gonna dock and take you to the actual Starship Cruiser. And over your 2-day, 2-night vacation, you will not just wield a lightsaber and learn how to operate the controls at the front of the ship. It's possible, because it's Star Wars, that things may go awry, and over the course of the 2 days, 2 nights, you'll be called into action to actually get wrapped up in the galactic conflict. And depending on which path you choose, how you choose to play, which characters you choose to interact with, where you choose to be at any given time, will determine the story that you live out and get to see unfold. This story will take place in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, and you can choose to align with the resistance or betray them. As for how it impacts one's vacation, you'll have to wait to find out.
Yeah, you can find the full article at StarWars.com. I definitely
Yes.
suggest giving it a read because there's a lot of good tidbits in it. But like I said, I went to Batu. I did all the stuff that you can do at Galaxy's Edge. But the one I want to talk about specifically is the Rise of the Resistance ride, which I think is going to be very similar to what Galactic Cruiser is.
Yeah.
So Rise of the Resistance, you actually like get on a ship. It simulates you going into space. You walk through these bay doors and you're on a Star Destroyer. All the windows make it look like you're in space. Like it was insane.
Do you know one of the most interesting things about this? Not only do they have that docking or the shuttle to take you to and from or into the Star Cruiser, but if you want to just go, they're going to have a shuttle that takes you directly to Galaxy's Edge every morning if you want.
So it's all going to connect to the park and everything. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds so cool. Jacob,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Are you very confident that you'll be able to do it one day?
I want to. That is a lot of money, but that's any Disney trip in general. So,
right.
This is like all this like a few years ago, Toby, when you told me about your whole experience doing Galaxy's Edge stuff and all of that, I was like, that sounds incredible. I want to do that. That's like my dream. I was loving Star Wars my entire life. That's like the best thing I could ever have to do in the world.
Dude, here's what you do. So just save up your graduation money, and we'll take a trip to Florida.
I was just about to say, I just pulled up pictures of the rooms real quick. They're built for like 4 or 5 people. So it's built like a fucking actual like what's the word? I'm like a cruise ship though.
Mm-hmm. It's basically what it is. It's going to be designed like a cruise ship, except it's
so Chris and Toby get to share a bed.
Okay, right. I shared a bed with Chris in New York, and never again.
Then Jacob and Chris can share a bed. There you go.
There we go.
All right, I guess.
Toby, I got bottom bunk.
All right, very good. Anyway, that is Galactic Star Cruiser coming in the summer of 2022.
Yes.
So right around the corner, time's flying.
And I'll be beating Toby's ass at the sabacc table every day. You'll find me there both days.
Okay. You'll have to show me how to play sabacc first because I have no idea.
I mean, I could teach you. It's easy.
All right. Well,
that's
one thing that's one idea we can do for a future show. If there's no news or nothing to talk about, let's just sit down on stream and play sabacc.
If I can find a digital version of it, sure.
But anyway. So Friday brought us episode 2 of the Bad Batch titled Cut and Run.
This is
30-minute episode. Matt's going to drop out. He's going to kind of produce the show the rest of the way. So me and Jacob can have a fun little discussion about it. So Cut and Run. Jacob, overall thoughts on the episode. How many times have you watched it?
I've still only seen it the one time on Friday. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. This series is already fantastic. Like I was worried that I might feel a little like not as like hyped because it's so much shorter than the first episode being over an hour, but that was not the case because from like 2 seconds in I was insanely excited and that continued throughout the rest of the episode.
Right, and they teased at the end of the first episode going to Sector J-19, which if you're really familiar with the Clone Wars, you knew that was Seleucami, which means that they were more than likely going to run into Cut Lawquane, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I meant to like look up at the end of the episode, like, oh, J-19, what's there? What's in that sector? And then I totally forgot. But that's something I'm actually glad that I neglected to do, because as soon as they said like Seleucami, I was like, wait, what? Who's? Is this a new thing? And then as soon as they landed, they were walking. I was like, oh no way!
Familiar. Yeah,
and then as soon as they, especially once they said deserter, I was like, they're really going to Cut Lawquane. I thought we would never see this dude again. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You know, I mean, I talked about this at length on the discussion about the first episode, but who would have thought we'd get a spinoff of the Clone Wars, right?
I know,
the show
right?
gets canceled. It's like we're not going to even finish the original series, and now we're getting a spinoff, and we're getting to see all these deep cut characters once again. And it was really cool to see Cut. It does make sense that the Bad Batch would know him.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously Rex was pretty familiar with him. Rex was familiar with the Bad Batch, so it made sense that, again, these are all brothers, so they would know, where each other are kind of hiding out.
Right.
And the Bad Batch needed a place to lay low for a little while, and that's exactly what they do. Cut and Sue and his kids let the Bad Batch crash there for a little while. But right off the bat, you have a great moment with Omega, because Omega has lived her whole life on Kamino. All she's ever known is just darkness and rain, right?
And water, yeah.
Right, and so now she lands on this planet. She gets to feel dirt for the first time, which reminded me so much of Rey in The Last Jedi when she sees rain for the first time. Like, just childlike innocence of, seeing dirt, right?
Yeah,
like,
didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so the Bad Batch find a place to crash with Cut, and come to find out Cut and Sue and the family are trying to get off-world. And that's another thing about this episode that was really surprising to me, is how quick the Empire is up and running, right?
For real.
Like, Empire Day has to have been 2 or 3 days ago. Like, Emperor Palpatine taking control of the galaxy was literally the same week.
Mm-hmm.
And now
right.
they're already regulating travel. They're already making people sign up for
the chain codes.
The chain codes. They're making
Which I didn't realize. Like, I'd already gotten used to them. I didn't realize, and because it's like sounds like a pretty basic Star Wars thing, I figured that had been around for a while. I forgot that chain codes weren't explicitly named or even like in existence till Mandalorian. So the fact that that's already something that's they've used again in something further back in time is really cool. And they did say in Mandalorian that they had been in use for ages, so it makes sense that it started right when the Empire did.
Right, and like I said, just the fact that they're already up and running, and it makes sense that Emperor Palpatine would have these things already planned out and ready to go. That way, when he takes order of the galaxy, he just snaps his fingers, and everything kind of falls into order like he wants.
Right.
And you're already seeing, too, the clones. Like, these are no longer clones. These are no longer, the personalities, the guys kind of going at each other as brothers. Like, these are basically stormtroopers now. They're very robotic, just following orders. And I don't know if that's the Order 66, if that's the implant in their heads making them do that, or maybe they're doing it out of fear, right? Maybe,
I honestly,
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but I'm pretty sure it's with Order 66. I started thinking about it when they started showing it, more in depth when at the last season of Clone Wars, when they showed firsthand some clones reacting to it and everything. And I realized it's way more prevalent, or at least noticeable, because obviously this whole show is based around clones. It's a lot more prevalent now. It's like they're not only does Order 66 make them kill all Jedi on sight and seek them out, they're also just dicks now. They're just super rude to everyone that exists, even each other. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. It's the exact opposite of what they were before, which makes Order 66 hit a lot harder, because everybody that was cool is now just an asshole,
Right. And I was under the impression before this show that Order 66 was literally just a command that makes them kill all the Jedi. And once that order is done, they kind of wake up and realize, what just happened? But I'm starting to think that Order 66 is not just the order to kill the Jedi. It's them going complete robot mode to where they have to follow orders no matter what. And you even see, they're all just regular white clones now. There's no longer the personalities on their paint or their helmets, or the designs of their suits or their armor. They're literally just white.
They're just regs.
Yeah, they're all just regs now. So you're already seeing that all they got to do is just change into a stormtrooper suit, and then that's it. And I know probably we have a lot of show left to go. We got 14 episodes. We're going to see that transition even more. But it's just really interesting to see that change happened so fast.
Right.
And so, like I mentioned before, Cut and Sue and the kids are trying to get off world. They can't get off world unless they get these chain codes. And so the Bad Batch have to figure out a plan to steal these chain codes to get these guys off world, because they have to go now. They said it is not safe to stay here one day longer.
Especially because once they find a dude that's a clone that's not in armor, or also being a jerk like the rest of them, they're gonna know something's up, which almost happened later in the episode.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy, is that Cut is literally a clone. He looks just like everyone else, and no one recognized him. I don't know if that hat did anything, or maybe his mutton chops.
It's it's a Clark Kent situation. You have something on your face or head, and then nobody knows who you are.
Exactly.
No matter how striking the resemblance is.
So Echo and Tech come up with this plan to steal the chain codes. But meanwhile, we're seeing even more the bond that Hunter and Omega are getting. Omega almost gets eaten by a giant cat creature.
By a Nexu, yeah.
Yeah, when she tries to go save the ball and Hunter like jumps down her throat and Cut has to like be like, hey man, like she's not a soldier. Like she's just a kid and Hunter is learning, how to be that father figure. And in the episode he realizes that he doesn't think he can be that for her. So he recommends and he even tells Cut like, hey, she needs to stay with you guys when you guys go off world. Right. I thought that was very interesting. It is very reminiscent of what we saw in Mando, right? Because Mando's like has Grogu, and once he meets Ahsoka, he's like, I can't take care of this kid, right? You need to go with her. Or even in the first season when he goes to that like lake planet, right, and meets that lady, that really nice lady, he's like, he needs to stay with you because I can't raise this kid.
Right.
Like, as long as he's with me, he's in danger because everyone's looking for me. So I don't want to say that this show is completely trying to copy Mando because it's only been 2 episodes, and Star Wars has always been about family dynamics, and so of course you're going to see similar, traits, series to series. But what were your thoughts on that? Because I'm already loving the bond between Hunter and Omega, and it's only been 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, I think this is not something I expected from the show because like when it showed like promotional material, like I didn't really. The only things I really watched were the trailers, and even with like the last trailer they had, I think it was the day before the first episode, like they showed Omega, and I just assumed because they didn't really go into depth about Omega at all either in any of the trailers, so we didn't really know anything about her until the first episode. I just thought my guess was that like, oh, she's the last clone, period, because I knew because it had been known forever that's like right after Order 66 happens, they shut down clone production. And we're just like, no, we don't need that anymore, which then leads to them because they're just like, oh yeah, it costs too much money, so we'll just grab randos and have them be stormtroopers, and that's that. But yeah, that was my assumption. But obviously, there's something else to Omega, and along with that is this whole thing of her being taken care of by these guys that were just, the reject clones that do all the covert missions, and Hunter being the leader, obviously is the main one that has to take to, adjusting. It sort of is like Cut says that, she's not a soldier, but it's kind of like a similar adaptation where it's like you have someone new in the squad. So you have to learn about them and get closer with them if you want to work through anything. So I'm very curious to see where that goes. Omega's already learning more, and her whole like innate curiosity thing is pretty 50-50 on whether it leads to something, like that or someone almost dies, which I'm sure we'll get quite a bit of for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was so much mystery to Omega that we're going to, slowly learn throughout this season, maybe this entire series. We don't really know if we're going to have more seasons, but I would like to think we will.
Yeah.
So we're going to see this story really unfold, but I really do think that there is something special about her. There's a reason that, she was being hidden and being very protected by the Kaminoans when she was on Kamino. But then again, they kind of just let her go, right? Like they let her escape with the Bad Batch. So even the Kaminoans must know that Kamino is going to be, in danger because of all this change going on in the Empire.
Right.
But we do end up seeing that Omega decides to stay, right? She is all about staying with the Bad Batch, all about staying with Hunter. And that actually reminds me, I don't know if you saw from the first episode, but there's a video going around on Twitter of all the times in just the first episode that Omega was like copycatting Hunter, like just mannerisms, right? So anytime Hunter would like lean in and put his hand on his chin, she would do the same thing.
I don't think I noticed that.
Or whenever they were going through the hallway trying to escape off Kamino, Hunter would like get to a corner and he'd put his fist up and tell him to stop. Omega was right behind him doing the same exact thing.
I did not notice at all. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was adorable. Like I did not see it the first time. I watched episode 3 times and did not catch that until I saw that little thread on Twitter. But Omega really looks up with you, I'm staying with you. And by the end of the episode, Hunter even realizes like, hey, I have a lot to learn. Like he has a lot to learn as a father figure. And I'm sure we'll see the rest of the Bad Batch as uncles almost, which even Sue and Cut's kids called it Wrecker, Uncle Wrecker.
Yeah.
So
Also, as the side thing about the kids, they do not look nearly as ugly as they did in the Clone Wars in that episode.
Right.
They looked
Yeah.
rough in that
Yeah.
episode. It's like season 2, which was
we
so
talked
long
about-
ago now.
Yeah, we talked about this at length in our breakdown of the first episode of just how beautiful the show looks
Oh
in
yeah.
animation quality. Like, man, like I know it will never happen, but I wish they would go back and just remaster all of the Clone Wars to look this good.
Right.
Because it really is like one of the best animated shows I've ever seen. And I know it's coming out at Disney, and Disney has the money to put into these shows.
Right.
But after season 7 of Clone Wars, I was like, oh, we're never going to see that animation again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they put
thought
all
the
the
same
money
thing.
in for the last season, but nope, they had a whole other show in the background just waiting to get released. And man, how cool is it to have a spin-off show of the Clone Wars and it looked
Right.
this good?
Yeah, and especially when like on the 4th, where the first thing I watched Star Wars was the first episode of Bad Batch, and then the last thing I watched Star Wars was the Clone Wars movie. And I was when I was watching, I was like, I know I know the animation isn't as great the earlier it is, but I still like it for what it is because it's Clone Wars and it's like my favorite show ever. But going from the newest to the oldest is a little rough. It's a little rough going that far back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm not good at math, but it's like 13, 14 years.
Yeah, like 13 years, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, they had a lot of time to kind of perfect their craft, and we're seeing that, right now with this show. But anyway, it was 30 minutes, and it really did fly by. But one other thing I want to address is kind of each individual character and their growth, right? So we're seeing Hunter grow as a dad, as a father figure. We already talked about that. I'm curious what you think about how all the other Bad Batch characters are going to grow, right? I know you said you hate Crosshair. That's in your name tag there. I'm pretty confident Crosshair is going to be redeemed, but that's something I'm sure we'll see later on, probably at the end of the season.
Right.
But between Echo, Wrecker, and Tech, I mean, or at least Wrecker and Tech, they're very kind of one-dimensional characters. Wrecker's just I just want to smash everything and make jokes, ha, ha, ha. And Tech is just the nerd who knows everything and is completely dumbfounded when no one else is as smart as him.
Right.
I love the scene in the beginning of the episode where we find out that Omega is aware of the inhibitor chips.
Mm-hmm.
And they all look at Tech like, why didn't you tell us about the inhibitor chips? You just said it was part of our DNA. He's like, thought it was obvious. I thought you guys already knew that. So Tech is already becoming one of my favorite characters. But anyway, I'm curious how Tech, Wrecker, and Echo how their characters are going to grow throughout the show. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, because it's already clear from the start, from what they've shown, that like the main three that have already been focused on is Omega being new, Crosshair being evil, and obviously with Hunter being the leader, it was clear he was going to have that. Like in the first episode, it was his leadership being challenged and having to make all these tough decisions, like more so than just in random missions and stuff that they've been doing for however long they've actually been around. But yeah, with Wrecker and Tech and Echo, they're still like, at least so far, obviously we're only two episodes in. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, now that I think about it, if throughout the season they get not their own episodes, but like they're kind of the focal point where like something about their personality or history kind of comes up, and then they have to like evolve or adapt to that. Like if Tech has to do something that's not like probable or something like that, or if Wrecker has to like do something calmly, or like he realizes that destroying something is like hurtful to the mission or whoever they're helping. And with Echo having to deal with anything that's, like when back in the first episode when he was hooked up to those machines to get checked out and he just started freaking out. Like I wouldn't be surprised if more of that happened, or or maybe even if anything related to Skako Minor pops up again, because that maybe is possible, because there's a lot of loose ends from Revenge of the Sith that haven't always been like focused on and stuff. So like obviously there's going to be straggling separatists and whatnots that'll probably end up being issues there. But yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if all three of them got like at least part of an episode where it's kind of like a real dilemma for them, because like we've already gotten that with Hunter and Crosshair, and Omega is going to be a whole season long thing for sure. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that's what happens. That's because they are kind of one dimensional, but they're still good and entertaining. And I did talk to somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they said something like, "Is Wrecker really just dumb, strong, destroy stuff guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." And like, can he have like a little more? I'm like, look, I get that, but also if you look at the history of Star Wars, there's not always, at least at especially the beginning, not every character has all this, extra stuff that they go through, and you won't know that until the story is complete. Like nobody knew what Ahsoka was going to go through when she was introduced in the movie, and now she's like one of the most beloved Star Wars characters ever. So yeah, there's a lot of potential for everyone in this show.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I love the idea of a Wrecker episode where he just has to do a stealth mission. Like that's the whole episode is Wrecker just in stealth, and him just like, I have to smash, have to break things.
And he just has to.
He has to learn for like the betterment of the group. I must not smash in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that idea. But you bring up Echo, and I love the idea of him having like PTSD. Like you said in the first episode, he's hooked up to the machines and he wakes up and he freaks out. So that's something he's going to have to deal with. I really, really hope that Echo and Rex have a conversation about fives at some point.
Yeah.
Because that still had like Echo he has to know, what fives did, right? Because fives almost found out about Order 66 and then they got killed off before he could spill the beans.
Yeah. Another thing too is that at the beginning of the episode, when they show up to Cut mentions something. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got filled in on a lot of stuff that happened from Rex," and they're like, "You talked to Rex?" He's like, "Yeah, he was here yesterday." So it's like,
right,
like that. I feel like I'm a little afraid but I also wouldn't be surprised at the same time if it's one of those scenarios where it's like, they just miss running into Rex or whatever, because there's a big time gap now now that we finally got the last season of Clone Wars, we know that because it was implied before when they thought that they were never going to finish the series, like, yeah, Ahsoka and Rex survive Order 66, and Rex gets his inhibitor chip out and whatnot, and then there's a big gap, and then they're on that whatever nothing planet. He's there with Wolf and Gregor in Rebels, and they both have their inhibitor chips out, and that we don't know the specifics of any of that. So I think it'd be really cool if they either implied that or touched on that, or if they actually did run into Rex. But I kind of have a feeling that when it comes to that, it's going to be like, oh, they just missed him, or they know Rex was here because he did whatever, like that they would all know about.
In the trailer, the second trailer, I don't know if you saw, but Rex is in the second trailer. So they are going to run into Rex at some point.
Oh, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
And I believe, and I guess this can, transition to our thoughts about what we think the next few episodes are going to be. But I believe we're going to see Rex next episode, because they literally said Rex was here yesterday. They don't know where he went, but he can't be too far behind. So I think the Bad Batch is going to find Rex, and Rex is going to really fill them in even more on what's going on in the galaxy at the moment. Because Rex
he's one of the few people that actually knows.
Exactly right. And you mentioned Gregor and Wolf. They have to explain that in the show, right? Like
I hope so.
Rex and Gregor and Wolf end up being these just like retired warriors, just kind of chilling out, waiting, for whatever was next for them. And like I said, there's a lot of time there's a lot of story to tell there about how they got to that point. So I wonder, is Wolf still working for the Empire, right? Is Gregor still working for the Empire? What about Cody? Like, Cody's got to come in, right? Like, I want a showdown between Cody and Rex.
But that's another thing, too, is that something I had thought of, because, like, when all the clones get triggered when they hear Order 66. Like, just hearing those words, saying execute Order 66, it immediately kicks in. And, like, Crosshair is kind of iffy, and then they enhanced it in the first episode. But, like, a part of me is kind of concerned, because they never said it, and I don't think, because they probably didn't know about it, Cut still has his inhibitor chip. So so a part of me thought, like, I don't know if I kind of doubt we'll see him again, at least in the series. But there's also, like, this now, like, dark kind of possibility where it could be that Cut will be somewhere. And, I mean, obviously they're trying to go somewhere, like, just completely uninhabited or whatever. But it's possible, like, that him and any other clone that's like that could hear the words execute Order 66, and then it's having troubles there. And even then, like, Gregor was assumed dead in the episode that he was in the Clone Wars, but he obviously survived somehow, was on Rebels. That's a whole thing you don't know. Did the explosion knock out his chip? Does Rex actually end up finding him and then take it out? Because there's no way that he heard about it because that planet was in the middle of nowhere.
Jacob's frozen. Oh no. Where'd he go?
I'm still here on my end.
Okay, you're back. All right, great.
All right. No, I'm gonna plug my computer in real quick, but I can still hear you.
Okay, great. No, you're exactly right. I do believe that Rex's main mission at this point is finding other clones and telling them what's going on and getting their chip out of their head. I think that is his number one thing. I guarantee you that's how he runs into Gregor. I guarantee you that's how he runs into Wolf.
Absolutely.
I don't know when we're going to see that exactly. I think maybe next episode is when we're going to see Rex and he's going to kind of fill them in. But in terms of the rest of the show, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to play out in terms of the season. I just think it's something we're definitely going to see. Matt, you're popping back in, Mr. Producer.
Just so you don't have a lonesome Toby on the screen.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. But what are your thoughts real quick on the episode before you have to go?
Overall, enjoyed it. It was one of those ones where it felt like it was filler, but at the same time it didn't, because Dave Filoni definitely and we've seen even his filler episodes come back to actually fill in a major role. And I think you talked about, Jacob was talking about what about Cut? Doesn't he still have the inhibitor chip? All that. I think ultimately we'll see that, but I don't think he'll have it activated because he wasn't on the line of duty and it's not like he you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think Order 66 is one of those things where you have to hear it first. You have to hear it from the Emperor himself or find out from a commanding officer that this is what we're doing now. And then you have to look around and see, oh, are there Jedi around me? If not, we just kind of wait around. And if there are Jedi in front of me, I must kill them now.
Yeah, you go around and wait for orders because good soldiers follow orders. That's
right, exactly
what it boils down to.
So because Cut didn't hear the order, his chip didn't activate. And I would like to think that he would never hear that order ever.
Yeah.
I don't want to picture like Cut and Sue and the kids just kind of chilling out, and then out of nowhere like execute Order 66 and Cut like hops up and is like, must kill everyone now, like that. That doesn't sound
good. Because then like he wouldn't hurt his family. He would just start being a dick the whole time.
right, man.
Which would be less than ideal.
What a thought! Like Cut is just this nice dad, just like the best pop ever, and then someone spoils it for him. He just becomes the biggest dick dad ever.
I mean,
like,
that could have
right.
Yeah, that could. I mean, that was almost a possibility right before he got on the shuttle. That one clone's like, "You look like," and then luckily that other guy came in and was like, "Oh, they need help. There's a bunch of hooligans with guns." And he's like, "All right, carry on. I'll worry about it later." But that's another thing too. Like if it was the clones pre-Order 66, like they're usually curious and stuff like that because it's all about being tactical. But now it's just about following orders.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah, we should mention that Cut, Sue, and the kids, they do escape off-world and go on to, do what they do. Which made me happy. I didn't want to see them get captured.
Yeah, I was deathly afraid that this was going to be a very negative ending to an episode.
Right. Well, because that's what the Clone Wars likes to do, right? Or at least the Clone Wars show, everything was in arcs, 3 or 4 episode arcs. And I could have easily saw this episode ending like on a cliffhanger where, Cut and the kids get captured and then we have to wait for the next week. But unlike the first episode, there's no real hints about what's to come in the next episode.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned before, I do think they're going to run into Rex. Rex is going to fill them in, and then we're kind of going to go from there. But again, what I like about this show is that it is very unpredictable at the moment.
Yeah.
We know that there are storylines already set up. We have storylines with Saw Gerrera. We have storylines with Crosshair. We have storylines, obviously, with Omega being basically the main character of the show. So I'm really excited with what's to come. And what I love, again, about this is we don't have to wait very long. We get another episode literally next week. And I will preach it until the cows come home. I love the weekly release model so much better.
I do
than
too,
the
man.
binge model.
It's so much better. It reminds me, like, if nothing else, it reminds me of being a kid and watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars come out every Friday, and then the season be over, and I'd be sad, and then I'd watch other stuff, and then within the next year, the new season would start up.
It allows you to actually talk about each episode with the proper amount of time. You're not ignoring an episode.
Yeah.
You're just get to continue having the conversation for the full week. And that's what I love about the typical TV model, and hate about the binge model, because everyone will talk about a show and you'll be done after like 2 weeks.
Right.
People want to complain, oh, I don't want to get the Mandalorian spoiled for me. Why does it have to be weekly? Because the idea is you'll watch each week and have conversations, and it's going to be in the pop culture zeitgeist longer because of that. Because think about it. I didn't see many people getting too excited about that Stranger Things season 4 trailer that we got the other day, and 2-3 years ago that wouldn't have been the case.
Right.
No, you're exactly right, and I think that it would be a smart choice by Netflix to release Stranger Things 4 weekly. Like, I really do think that would be the right choice, because people, like Matt just said perfectly, people will talk about it every single week. People will look forward to the next episode every single week. People will be talking about it on social media and getting hyped up for every episode.
Yeah, and people start, they start like having discussions. They start saying, "What if this? Like, what's going to happen next?" And like, I think especially with Star Wars, like that's good, because like especially when when they announced, I'm sure it happened when they announced, back when they announced, oh, Star Wars is getting, or the original Star Wars is now the first one. It's A New Hope, and now that we're having another two, and people were speculating on what's going to happen in those. And then when the prequels started coming out, people started doing it again. When the sequels came out, people started doing it again. Even with the side movies, they're like, oh, what are they going to talk about? They might go over this and that. They might show why this happened. And it's good. And I think, I want to say somebody like that works with Disney with Star Wars stuff. It may have been Dave Filoni. I don't remember. It was somebody who's like works as a showrunner of some kind. And they were like, yeah, no, we like having the weekly stuff because of that discussion, and people can get excited for it. And even then, like, they usually, or at least for some shows, they have like mini trailers for the upcoming episode, and then people get to start talking about it more. I usually avoid those because I want to go in blind, but still, like, it's like exactly what Matt said. Like, you get to talk about it. Everybody can like just savor every moment, really, instead of watching 16 episodes in a day or two and then just boiling it down to the main points. You talk about it for a bit, and then you're like, well, we talked about everything, and then you just go to do something else. But when you have it weekly like that, you can talk about literally every point of every episode for a lot longer, and that's way better.
Right, exactly, because if Bad Batch were just to release all 16 episodes at one time, our breakdown of the show would be like 7 hours long.
Right.
Because we as Star Wars fans would want to talk about everything. But that would be unrealistic to do so. But because we get it every single week, we can break down every episode, things we like, things that we look forward to, things we maybe don't like. There's nothing really in this episode I didn't like, but I can't say that for sure about the rest of the episodes. But that's part of being a fan, is you talk about every little bit of it, because that's what we like to do, is break down every little piece, and that's the fun of it. Anyway, final thoughts on the episode, Jacob. Do you have anything that I didn't cover that you forgot to cover? Any final thoughts before we wrap?
I don't think so, but I am, one thing I am kind of looking forward to.
Just as we're about to end.
Am I back?
Okay, Jacob's back.
Okay. As I was trying to say before the internet decided to be rude, something I'm kind of looking forward to, because so obviously with the trailer, it showed that Fennec Shand is going to be in this show. So that's like the first time that something that was introduced in a live action, something new live action Mandalorian has been put going back in time into not only like something earlier in the timeline, but also animated, which is insane. But on top of that, then with this episode, they introduced something else that was also introduced in Mandalorian, which is the chain codes. So now, having thought about that more, I'm curious what other things that were kind of talked about or introduced or talked about for the first time in Mandalorian will also be shown in this, because there's a lot of origin, like, and it's cool too, because like it's the end of the Empire time, like point in time, and then the newest thing after that is back to when it's just starting. So I'm very curious to see how much more of that kind of crossover for that we get.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that might be my favorite thing about all of the new Star Wars content we're getting, is the interconnectivity that we're going to see, because everyone's kind of working together. Dave Filoni is working on the animated stuff. He's also working on Mandalorian, right? Deborah Chow, who worked on Mandalorian, is also obviously going to be the showrunner for Kenobi. like everyone is friends. Everyone talks about Star Wars all the time. So we're going to see everybody's ideas and storylines set up, and we're all going to see it pay off in all of the properties and all of the shows. And that's what's so exciting about this time being a fan is, yes, we're getting a lot of shows, but we're getting a lot of shows that are going to connect. And it's going to make being a fan that much more gratifying because you are kept up on everything, right? And you have to watch every show to get the big picture story. And that's just really, really exciting to see because that's not something Star Wars got to do before now. Like we had Rebels out, you know, that was the show that was out, and then we had the sequels. There was no interconnectivity, really. We saw Easter eggs of the Ghost in Rogue One, but that was the gist of it. But now we can see actual storylines and characters like Fennec Shand pop up in multiple series, and that's really exciting. But mysterious voice in the background, Matthew, what are your final thoughts on this episode if you're still there? Oh, shoot.
All right, that's two for this episode.
Again. I know, so, Jacob, I'll fill you in. I bought an expensive microphone. I was ready, set up, ready to go for the show. And my laptop, my school laptop that I've had since freshman year, the USB ports do not work.
Sick. I'm amazed you still have that thing.
So, yeah, I mean, the computer itself, like, works fine, but the things I need it for, most importantly, do not work. So, low-budget broadcast until I can get my computer, my new computer. So I'm literally just staring at this brand new microphone that I haven't used at all while I'm recording the show on my phone. And I literally have it like propped up on like books, right? Like it's so low budget. Like if the fans saw what I was doing right now, they would just laugh at me. They couldn't take anything I say seriously. But anyway, Matthew, are you there, my friend? Because we got to wrap up. No? Okay, wonderful. Don't know where producer went. Well, I hear his voice now. Where did he go? Matthew, hello.
What?
We're about to
wrap. Take longer to make.
Oh goodness. I guess I'll give my final thoughts real quick. Love the episode. Really glad we got to see Cut. Really excited to see more Clone Wars characters pop up in and out as the series progresses. Really excited to see how the Bad Batch and each character grows in their own personalities and their own growth as characters and as clones. You know, I think we're going to see Rex in that episode, and Rex is my homie. Like, I'm really excited to see him
Rex
again.
Rex is that dude.
So really excited for what's to come. Matthew, before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
I'm just ready to see what happens. I found out I get 16 weeks of this, or excuse me, 15 weeks of this. I'm cool. That's all I needed to know. 15 weeks. Cool.
Very good. So Jacob, thank you so much for being on the show, my friend. We will have you back on for sure.
Right on.
If you want to, you don't have to, but I would.
No,
I mean, he's been on.
I will.
It's almost like he's on an unofficial member of this because he's been on Wrestle Reel, Lord knows how many times now. So
yeah, we have to knight Jacob into the Who Are They club. But anyway, we have a lot of great content on this channel. So Matt, go ahead and tell the friends what else they can look forward to on Who Are They.
I mean, you have no Real Talk this week because it is Mother's Day. Monday we have Spin from the Real. Thursday we have Really Scared. Friday we have Wrestle Reel. We have this show that it's making its way back. It's looking like Saturdays for the time being. And then we have another show that we'll be announcing soon once we finish getting some stuff done with it. But we also have a Discord. Reach out to anybody on the Who Are They Real Entertainment Network if you're interested in joining said Discord. And yeah, that's about it.
All righty. A lot of great stuff on this channel. A little bit for everybody. So if you like horror, if you like just regular movie talk, we got a lot of things for you. Check out the channel if you like this video, like the video, and leave a comment if you would like to do so as well. That's going to wrap it up for Saber Reels. We will see you guys next Saturday with the breakdown of episode 3 of The Bad Batch. We will see you guys next time. May the Force be with you